Hey everyone, it's Anna. Welcome back to my channel. I am pleased to be making this video for you today because it is the release of the September products from Impression Obsession. So let me go ahead and share just a few products with you and the samples that I made. It's a pretty small release this month, but I think it's full of really fun things. So here's this stamp set from NOLA. It's got 4 different beverages in it, and you can make them coffee or tea or cocoa or pumpkin spice lattes. So here's a sentiment here that says wishing you pumpkin spice and everything nice, and then morning pumpkin. I really like that sentiment. A really fun pumpkin there that she's drawn. And then I really like this little trio of circles here that she's added for an added embellishment. So that's a fun little set. We also have a paper pad that's releasing this month. It's a 6x6 and it's called Winter Fun. And this paper pad is full of things like hats and mittens, sweater textures. There's some snowflakes and some just really pretty winter colors. So just do a quick flip through here. I really like this sheet here. And this sheet here too, it says things like Merry Christmas, love to you, things like that. Love to you and yours. And I really like this print as well. I think that's a fun sweater design. So that's the paper pad releasing this month. And again, it's called Winter Fun. And then also on one of my cards, or a couple of my projects, I think I used this cover a card stamp. This is not necessarily new for September, but I thought I would mention it because I think it's a perfect fit for the month's release. And this cover a card is called Knit. And I'll put a link to it down below. This is a magnificent stamp. I love inking it and then spritzing it with water. And I'll show you the technique, or the texture that it leaves on your cardstock then. So I used that as well. So speaking of this knit stamp, here is the card I made with it. So you can see here what I did is I inked the stamp with brown ink. I think I used Vintage Photo, and then I spritzed it with water and then stamped it down on my cardstock. And you can see some areas where it left a really nice impression here, and then some areas it left kind of like a watercolored look. So I really love using that particular stamp with that technique. I think it turns out really cool every time. And then here you can see where I've added those little circles from Nola's stamp set, just in the background there for some more interest. I used a couple pieces of the pattern paper, the sentiment from Nola's set, and then of course 2 little mugs of coffee or espresso or tea or whatever your little heart desires. So I think this card turned out really fun. And then I gave it a really good splattering of copper colored watercolor pigment as well. That's all the sparkles that you can see on there. So really, really fun. Here's another card that I made with Nola's set. This one has more of a pastel feel to it. And so I stamped the pumpkin and the sentiment here on a piece of cream colored cardstock. Then I added a strip of green cardstock and a strip of gingham cardstock. And then I added a piece of one of my trims. This is from a die set of mine that released earlier this year. It has 5 different strips that you can use to add embellishments to your card. And this one, it happens to look like a piece of rickrack that's sewn down the center. And then I gave it a good splattering of copper watercolor. So I think this card turned out really cute as well. So fun, fun. And then here's another card I made with Nola's stamp set. So you can see here the wishing you pumpkin spice sentiment here, and I used that same little coffee mug. I think that mug is so cute. I also used one of my dies called the Eyelet tag die, and I'll show you what that die looks like. And then just used a couple different pieces of cardstock here and a cute little piece of lace with my one of my antique buttons threaded with some twine. And I think this card turned out really fun as well. And the splatter of copper watercolor pigment doesn't hurt. So there's that card. We also have another set releasing called Fall Sayings. This one's by Jeannie, and it has 3 leaves and then a bunch of sentiments that are perfect for fall, Thanksgiving, Turkey Day, and things like that. So a really fun little 4x4 set. And we have another set releasing from Jeannie this month. It's called Pie Sayings, and it has just about every type of pie that you could think of. Also with some additional sentiments as well, like there's always room for pie, it's all about the pie, and me, oh my, I love pie. I love you more than pie. So really, really cute. And then I have a die releasing this month, just the one, and it is a piece of pie. This is the crust, this piece here. This is the whipped cream, of course, that you put on top. And then this piece here is actually the piece of pie, the filling of the pie. And this is what it looks like when it's assembled. So you can see the crust there, and then the center of the pie, and the whipped cream, of course. And here's what it looks like if you make it out of like a little yellow pattern paper. You could make like a lemon pie. And I think it's really fun to use, and it's really easy. So at the end of the video, I'll show you how to assemble the die so that you can make all different kinds of pie. Now let me go ahead and share a couple other products with you. Because a couple other things that I used on my projects I wanted to share with you. So I used this square that has the pinking edge. This is from the Sewing Notions set, I think. So it comes with the square, the spool, this cute little heart, a couple of buttons, and this thread holder, as well as a needle. So these items here are separate, and this is a separate set as well. So I just wanted you to see the Sewing Notions set. And then I also used, this is the scalloped tag that I used on that card I shared with you previously. So it's a 2-piece die set. It comes with the outside circle, and then it comes with this cute little heart piece in here as well that you can layer to make a fun tag. And again, that die is right here on my card. And I've just folded it over to the back side of the card there. And then I also used this tag on one of my projects. This is the scalloped stitch tag. It has a really pretty bottom here to the tag design, and then it mirrors that design up here on the extra detail that you can add to the top of the tag. And then I also used, this is the trims set. So this is the 5-piece set of trims where they're different rickracks and curly cues, and these 4 all cut the piece separate, so that it, it cuts this completely out of the cardstock. But this one's a little bit different. This is just an edge die, so you can lay this this die on your paper anywhere, and it'll leave whatever depth you want. You can just cut the edge of your cardstock that way. So really fun set to have. And then also I used the pinked stitched banners, stitched sentiment banners, and it comes with the set of 3. And then I also used the wood planks on a couple of my cards. So those have a really fun texture and have various different sizes, as well as wood grain. So you have lots of variety in your wood planks. And so let me go ahead and share the samples that I made using all of those different products, and of course my new pie set, or a pie die set. So I'll share a tag with you first. So I used that fun scalloped tag, and here I used 2 of those sentiment banners and just layered them next to each other. I created a piece of pie and then gave it a good speckling with watercolor. And so you can see the sparkles on it there. And then of course speckled the whole tag with the watercolor as well. So it has a really nice shimmer and shine over the whole tag. And I think that turned out really, really cute. So, and then I just added a piece of my favorite hemp twine to the top as a tie. And then of course you can see the button there where I've added that as well. So really fun little tag. And then here is another card that I made using the pie. Here's that square piece from the Sewing Notion set. Here's one of the planks. So I used it kind of like a tabletop surface. And of course a little vintage button. And then here you can just barely see a little bit of that sweater texture in the background there. I just stamped it really lightly as a second impression on this piece of cardstock. So it just is very, very light. And I love that little bit of hint of texture there. And then of course there's a sentiment here from Jeannie's set. There's always room for pie. So there's that one. And then I created this card as well. This card uses that sketchy leaf background that released month before last. I think it was August maybe, or July. So it has that sketchy leaf design that's really fun. And then I gave it a quick spritz and splatter with the watercolors as well. And here you can see I've created yet another pie. Here's another one of those planks, just used as an accent detail with a button. And then of course I used a piece of rickrack and the other half of that green square from the Sewing Notions set. And I think this card turned out really fun as well. So I had a lot of fun making cards with the pie. So, and you can see I splattered all four sides of the card with my watercolor pigments. And then the last card I have to share with you is a little bit different. It's a little bit different than your green pie, your pumpkin pie. I made a key lime pie and topped it with whipped cream, of course. And here you can see I used my Rick Rack die from my trims set. Again, I used those little sentiment banners and one of Jeannie's sentiments. It's all about the pie. And I think this turned out really, really cute. And quite different than your typical fall pumpkin pie or, sweet potato pie or anything like that. So you can do all different kinds of pie. You could make a pink one for strawberry pie, strawberry rhubarb pie. There's just so many different chocolate pie. There's so many different kinds of pie that you could make. So let me show you really quickly how to assemble the pie die, and then I'll give you some suggestions too on using it and making colors and things like that. So I'm just going to use my little Sidekick die cutting machine. It comes with these little plates, and the pie fits perfectly on it. So I'm going to run it through my die cut machine 3 times. So the first time I'm going to run it through for the crust, and you could actually separate these dies if you wanted to. I'm not going to bother separating them. I'll just run them through with smaller pieces of paper, or I could run them through with white paper and color the pieces the color that I want them to be. So here's my first cut. This is going to be for my crust. See now, and I have an extra brown whipped cream, maybe a chocolate whipped cream, and an extra piece of pie here. So now that is garbage. And then I'm going to run it through again with white. And this is just going to be for my whipped cream. So I'm not too concerned about the other shapes in the die at this time. And I'll just run this through. And so here's my whipped cream. And it does have this little extra hole you can punch out as well, just to give your whipped cream a little loop on top, kind of like the Dairy Queen swirl. And then one more time through the machine, and this is going to be for the pie itself. So not too concerned again that everything else doesn't fit, just want to make sure that my pie fits. Okay, so that should do it for the pieces of pie. The pieces of the piece of pie. All right, so that's my my pieces. Now let me show you a couple of tips on assembly and coloring your pie. So first of all, I would like to have my pie to have a little bit of dimension here. So instead of just being a flat piece of pie, I'd like it to have kind of some visual interest just by lightly shading that piece there. So what I'm going to do is take a scrap piece of paper, and I'm just going to tear off a piece of it here that's about as wide or large as my pie here, and then I'm just going to slip in one side of this here right into the pie, so it goes edge to edge on that slice, on the edge of the slice. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of my blending brushes and some brown ink, and I'm going to ink the edge of the top of the pie. Just like that. Now I'm going to remove this, and so now you can see the top of my pie is nice and defined. And now I'm going to add just a little bit of that ink down here to the bottom, just to give it a little bit of dimension on the bottom side of the slice. Just like that. So perfect. And next what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same thing with my crust, but this time I don't have to use this added piece of paper here. I'm just going to add a little bit of ink to this top side of the crust just to give it a little bit of a cooked look, and maybe just a little bit to the bottom. And that's perfect. Next, we can actually assemble the pie. So the pie fits together really easily. I left a little bit of extra crust here so that you can adhere your pie to the crust. And what I have found to be really the easiest is to use washi tape. And so what I do is I flip my crust over and take a couple of pieces of washi tape. And it doesn't even have to be all that neat. Just stick it to the back side there, and then stick this piece to the crust, the back side of the crust. And the reason you want to do it on the back is so that when you flip this back over and look at the front of your die, your sticky side of your washi tape is on the top side. So I'm just going to tear that off there, and you can even actually put some washi tape across here so it has additional stickiness. So see, this is the back of my crust. So I've added some washi tape there to the back, flip it over, and now the sticky side of my washi tape here is face up. Then I'm just going to take my pie filling and just position it right like that and press it right down on that washi tape. And now your pie is all assembled. And you can go ahead and add additional washi tape here if you'd like, just to kind of more securely attach these two die pieces. So just like that. You could glue it also if you wanted to, but I find the washi tape holds just fine. So I haven't actually gone through the process of gluing it together since the washi tape is so easy to do and so very secure. And then the last thing you want to do is add the whipped cream to your pie. I'm just going to use a little bit of white glue here. Oops, that might be a little too much glue. And just add that whipped cream dollop right there on top where you like it. So that's how the pie is assembled. And I think it's really cute. You can add added details if you just stamp it out of plain cardstock like this one. You can add added details to that by simply stamping on the cardstock either before or after you die cut it. So here you can see I've stamped some hearts on this pie just to give it a little bit of extra visual interest. So I think they turn out really fun. And then on some of my pie, I actually splattered it. You can see here, this is a piece of chocolate pie. So I've splattered it with ink, and it gives it more of interest than just having it plain brown. And then same with this one here. Oops, wrong one. This one here, I've splattered it as well with brown and copper. And so I think it just a little more interesting than just being flat. And then for this one as well, I splattered it. And then for this one, for the key lime pie, I actually used a textured cardstock. So instead of just being plain flat cardstock, it has a really nice little texture to it. And then it got some sparkle with watercolor pigments as well. So I hope you are inspired by this month's release from Impression Obsession, and I hope you love my pie as much as I do. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll put links down below to the Impression Obsession site where you can find all these products, including my new slice of pie. So thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye!